Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options in Play video update. It's JP Morgan Healthcare Conference Day. It's actually JP Morgan Healthcare Conference Week, but Mondays are always Mondays are always the biggest days of the event. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I really did not like doing my homework. It was always a struggle to sit there after school when I could be doing just about anything else. Um, But obviously, doing your homework means that you learn something, right? And the more you learn, the more you improve. And trading's really it's kind of like that. Like the more work you put in, probably the better your results are going to be. And for me, for what I do, I'm guessing for what you guys do, if you trade news related events or any events just in general, um, you really need to do some work. There is a calendar out there that has all of these catalysts on it, right? Like you can get all of this stuff for free. I mean that these companies tell you when they're going to report. They tell you when they're going to present the conferences. If you read the press releases, they tell you when they're going to present data, right? So it's really it just comes down to doing work because the trades are out there if you know where to look. And really when the companies are telling you when it's going to happen, then it's really not that complicated. It's just, finding when it's going to happen, right? Then looking at the setup. Is the setup good? What are the options pricing in? And then you go from there. And today is just a great example of why being a little bit more active and doing a little bit more work can really be beneficial. Just a handful of things that are having huge moves this morning. One of them, Dexcom. I wrote this up as a trade last week, and I didn't really have a bias. Uh, Dexcom, it's been a name that's been flying around on earnings recently. As you can see, August, huge move. Excuse me. August, huge move. Didn't quite have as large of a move back in November, but still pretty sizable. I mean, I think it was about 13, 14 points even back in November. So uh, Dexcom last 3 years in a row, 3, 4 years, really consistent. Gave guidance, preliminary guidance to JP Morgan conference. You knew they were presenting on Monday. Last 3 to 4 years, they gave guidance. You're assuming guidance were going to come again. Um, and the stock was just in a nice setup, right? I mean, it was in a little flag sitting under support, right? So it's in like a downtrend underneath support. It's got support from underneath though at the 200 day, and then it's like a big gap. So I didn't know which way this was going to go. I just had I just had a feeling it was going to move. Like I knew the news was going to come out, and I had a feeling it was going to move. Options were reasonable. They were pricing in about 11 to 12 point move, I believe. This quarter moved close to 30. This quarter moved about 14. So the last 2 quarters have moved well past what the options were pricing in. So the options were a little bit less expensive. Stock has a history of moving. It's in a tight pattern, and they're going to give guidance. So this was a strangle candidate. Had a big move this morning. You could sell. You could sell basically right off the open for like a quick 12 to 15 point pop, right? Um, so another one I was talking about was Sage. So Sage Therapeutics. For those people that play drug data or want to play drug data, right? The thing you have to realize is that like when these companies release these phase 3 results, they're very very risky and really they're set up well for options because options you have to find risk, right? Like you know what you pay, like um, so if you pay a couple $100s for the options, then that's what you could potentially lose. So when a company is about to report phase 3 data and analysts are estimating this thing can move 20 to 50%, what that says to me is like, yeah, high risk obviously, but also high potential reward. And options give you the ability to take shots on this because you can find the level of risk you're comfortable with, and the price the price you pay for the options is your risk. So Sage phase 3, they said January. Most people that I read, most of the analysts that I read said they expected at the JP Morgan conference, right? Sage presented Monday at the conference. So you assume that if it was going to come at the conference, it was going to come Monday. Well, what do you know? Sage pre-market releases data. Uh, Analysts were anticipating anywhere from a 20 to 50% move. Options were priced in about 25 to 26, and at one point today, it moved close to 55. So again, even if you didn't really have a bias, right, and you just wanted to be involved for a potentially volatile move, it was just about narrowing down the time frame, right? So it didn't require a whole lot of work. It basically just said, okay, let me read what the company guided. Let me see what people are anticipating. Let me see what the options are pricing, and then see if there's a trade. So you look at it, and it's hanging down around 99. I mean, you can see what it did. Basically, like almost an exact repeat of what it did December last year when it released phase two data, right? So it went from like 99 to like 150, 160. Went from like 95 to 100 150. So it really would just came down to doing a little work, finding when the data was supposed to be released, looking at the setup and deciding which contracts or what type of risk you're comfortable with, right? And I could say like four or five or six or maybe seven other things, and this conference is still going on. So if you're interested in checking out like the what else could still potentially be coming, I did a video last week, kind of just going over like the handful of names I was looking at. But again, like I love days like this because it's a reminder that when I put in a little extra work, it can pay off, right? And that's a really reaffirming. Uh, it's really reaffirming to the overall strategy, right? That sometimes you can get rewarded for the extra work you do, and that's really what I like to see. And today's like one of those days that just kind of like kind of solidifies that in my mind. Uh, Cool. So looking forward to tonight's coaching session. So I hope you guys are going to stop by for that. Uh, Plenty more going on this week. Earnings season doesn't technically start until next week, but not only do you have the remainder of JP Morgan conference, you also have retail sales, which should start like imminently. So lots to look forward to this week. So hope you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.